Pathway Kids. My name is Miss Abby, and today I'm going to read you guys a book called Jesus and Bartimaeus. This is a story about a man. Bartimaeus was his name. He lived right near to Jericho, with neither wealth nor fame. For Bartimaeus was so poor, a job he could not find. There was no work that he could do, because this man was blind. You see, when Bartimaeus lived, all a blind man could do was go into the streets and beg for money and for food. There was no aid from government or schools to take him in, so he had to depend upon what others gave to him. So every morning of his life, Bartimaeus would go and beg for gifts beside the road that led to Jericho. All day he would call out to those whom he could hear walk by, "Have pity on me, I am blind, have pity," was his cry. Some days were pretty good for him, as folks would pass his way. Their hearts were touched with sympathy, before him gifts they'd lay. While others would be very lean, with nothing much to show, with heavy heart and empty hand, back to his home he'd go. Yet every day, through good or bad, he'd talk to God in prayer. He'd ask that one day he might see and thank God for his care. Now he was quite a wise young man, although he could not see, he still could tell what people thought, responding to his plea. For some would stop and give a gift, though some were very small, but they were showing him their love, the greatest gift of all. And some would even take the time to talk with him a while. Though he was blind, he still could feel their warm and tender smile. But others, as they passed his way and heard his beggar's cry, gave gifts to show how good they were to those who were nearby. Still others would throw coins at him just so he wouldn't yell. There wasn't any love with these, Bartimaeus knew too well. At quiet times he'd think about just what it would be like if God in wisdom would decide to give to him his sight. He thought the first thing he would do, that is if he had a choice, is thank those who were good to him. He'd know them by their voice. And then he'd help the others who in his town were blind. He'd help them all he could by being both generous and kind. He had a smile upon his face, just dreaming what he'd do, when he was wakened by the noise. A crowd was coming through. He then began his beggar's cry in hopes someone would hear. That's when he heard a woman say that Jesus Christ was near. Well, Bartimaeus had heard that the promised Savior came, so thinking that he must be close, he hollered out his name. He hollered, "Jesus, David's son, on me have mercy, please." Again he hollered louder still, "Have mercy on me, please." "Be quiet," those around him said, "do not disturb the man." But louder still his yell went out, "Please, hear me if you can." When Jesus heard his cries, he said, "I want that man right there." So those around him told him to be glad, he wants you near. When Bartimaeus heard the news, as fast as he now could, he threw off his coat and found his way to where the Savior stood. Then Jesus looked at him and said, "What do you want from me?" Then Bartimaeus said, "Oh Lord, I really want to see." Then Jesus said, "Your faith, my friend, is strong, and you believe, and you are trusting me to help. You shall your sight receive." Sorry, crashed out of the picture. As soon as Jesus said these words, his eyes were opened wide. He was so glad that he could see, so happy that he cried. He followed Jesus down the road and thanked the Lord above for letting him meet Jesus there and showing such great love. Like Bartimaeus, we can't see our God who's always near, but if we trust that he can help, he'll all our praying hear. It's great to know that we can take to Jesus all our cares, to know he's always by our side and hearing all our prayers. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed that story of Jesus and Bartimaeus.